Hello and welcome to this strange new experience of attending university at the time of COVID-19. I'm trying now to picture all of you sitting out there in Liberal Arts 219 so it doesn't feel quite so strange talking to a computer as it normally does. I wanted to do this short video, and I promise I'll try to keep it short, because we're at a point in our class, well, even though we're moving to a different format for delivering information, we're moving from the first half of the class to the second half of the class, which is intentionally designed to address two different questions. This half of the class, we're going to be talking about an issue that's very difficult to discuss. I don't know whether or not this is the case in other countries, but clearly in the United States, we have a difficult time talking about race in American politics. I would guess, and I don't think I'm wrong on this, that most of us who are in the majority in particular spend very little time, if ever, talking about questions of race. Especially if such a question isn't forced on us in a class or in a setting like it is in this instance. And if we have had those conversations, we have almost invariably had them with people who share our racial characteristics. One of the privileges of being white is that you rarely have to consider questions of race and therefore don't have to discuss them. I would guess that people of color have more often had these conversations. And if you've watched any of the videos so far on the readings and videos I sent to you for Monday's class, you will see that there are folks who have had these conversations. They are more likely as well to have had them with people who have similar racial characteristics. So we particularly don't talk about race across boundaries in very good ways. I know that in one of the readings I sent you, the 2018 poll that NBC had, 47% of Americans at that point said they rarely or never discussed race. It is a very difficult topic to discuss. But part of the reason why I started to teach this class or a class like this in my teaching career is because I really believe that in an American democracy, we need to be able to discuss issues that are difficult. And if we can't, we're not going to get very far. A healthy democracy requires those kinds of conversations. So in a normal semester, which this clearly is not, I set up this class so that the first half of the semester we discuss issues of immigration policy and immigration diversity in the United States. We do have differences of opinions on those questions, but they're not the kinds that necessarily are as difficult to talk about as our questions of race. And it is usually my hope that we can break down some barriers to develop some respect and trust in each other during the first half of the semester, so that as we move into this more difficult part of the semester, discussions about race in American politics, we have built up a reservoir of trust and can begin to have at least touched the surface on some of these questions. Clearly, this is not a normal semester, but I'm still hoping that we can continue to have these conversations largely in an asynchronous discussion board format, although I'm going to try to have some in-person classes as well. From this point on, we're going to move into a much more asynchronous online format for our classes. But there's one thing that hasn't changed, and that is, if you remember, at the very beginning of the semester, you signed a contract, and the contract stated that you would try to engage in civil discourse and assume good intent, among others, as we move on through these discussions. That has not changed. What is different is that sometimes it is easier to be misunderstood in writing than it is when you're speaking verbally, so that that shake of the head or that special look or glint in the eye or that somehow indicates that what you're saying is more nuanced than might appear can't come through in writing. So in writing, we need to be particularly careful about what we say and how we say it. That being said, though, I would encourage us to continue to try and engage in honest but respectful conversation over the course of the next 5 or 6 weeks that we have together. So for Monday's class, Monday, March 23rd, I have sent you a list of potential readings or videos to either watch or read over the next couple of days. I've asked you to choose 3 of them to focus on them and to send me a list of what those are so that I know you've done so and so that I kind of know the array of materials that people have read. And then I have posted 2 questions on a discussion board that now appears on our My Courses site. Here are the 2 questions, which will become live in a few minutes. I would ask that you try to respond to them. You don't have to respond to both. You can respond to one or the other, or you could perhaps start your own forum. Where here says create forum, you can go ahead and start your own forum to have a conversation. Just like in our normal classes, you may not participate every time. You may not choose to participate. You may choose not to participate at all. That's certainly your choice. Obviously, I will still consider this to be a form of participation and will grade you accordingly I do hope, however, that it is the quality of our conversation that will encourage you to engage in these questions and not the fact that you're going to get graded on them. As I noted at the very beginning of the semester, I teach assuming that you want to learn. And whether we're sitting together in Liberal Arts 219 or whether we're here in the comfort of our own homes having this conversation, I'm hoping that we can continue to learn and grow and delve into these serious and important questions in American politics. The discussion boards will open, as it indicates on here, very soon. I will then close discussion by noon on Wednesday, which will be the day of our next class. On that day, on Wednesday, I will post some sort of a video for you to observe it'll be posted by noon on Wednesday, and you will have another 48 hours in which you can view that and answer another question that I will post on the discussion board in response to that video, okay? Then again, on Friday, we will actually have an in-person class where we will meet through the tool called Zoom, which is fairly easy to use. I think you'll find it pretty intuitive. But if you have any questions on that, on what I've said in this video, on the materials that we have in class, on your readings, please do be in touch with me. As I noted in one of my email messages, I'm happy to try to address any issues we have with this new learning world, but I can't do so unless you tell me we have problems, okay? So I look forward to the second half of the semester where we move into some interesting conversations about race in American politics. Hope you're all staying healthy. Take care.